The 7 most important paintings by Rembrandt. Number 7. The Syndics of the Drapers' Guild. 1662. The Syndics of the Drapers' Guild, 1662, also known as the Drapers' Meeting, is one of Rembrandt's most famous group portraits and one of the pinnacles of Dutch Golden Age painting. Commissioned by the Amsterdam Drapers' Guild, the work shows 5 syndics and a clerk staring intently at the viewer, as if they had just been interrupted in the middle of an important discussion or audit of accounts. The composition is balanced and restrained. Each character retains his or her individuality, evidenced by facial features, age, expression, and body position. At the same time, the ensemble reflects the group's cohesion, authority, and sense of civic responsibility. Clear lighting, the use of warm, earthy colors, and meticulous brushwork convey the realistic atmosphere of a corporate meeting. This corporate portrait encapsulates the work ethic, guild organization, and bourgeois prosperity of 17th-century Amsterdam. Rembrandt's genius lies in endowing an apparently prosaic scene with an intense psychological presence, making each syndic seem like a living, thinking individual and an essential part of the city's economic and social fabric. Number 6. Bathsheba with David's Letter. 1654. Bathsheba with David's Letter, 1654, is one of the painter's most iconic representations of a biblical theme that addresses desire, power, and destiny. The scene shows a freshly bathed Bathsheba, attended to by a maid, holding in her hand the letter in which King David orders her to appear before him. The woman's gaze, serene but full of thought, suggests awareness of the decision she must make. Yielding to the king's will mean betraying her husband Uriah, but rejecting him means risking her life. The figure of Bathsheba is realistically naked, far from idealized beauty. Her skin is warm, human, with folds and curves, and her expression mixes resignation, curiosity, intrigue, and sadness. The golden light highlights the texture of the flesh, the shine of the jewels, and the smoothness of the towel. Rembrandt goes beyond conventional eroticism, focusing on the moral drama and humanity of the character, using the biblical story to reflect on free will and the consequences of male power. The intimate and domestic atmosphere, the rich and vibrant brushstrokes, and the psychological depth make this painting a milestone in the representation of the female body in Baroque art. Bathsheba, far from being just a beauty to behold, is a human being facing a vital dilemma, and in that humanity lies the emotional strength of the work. Number 5. The Jewish Bride. 1665. The Jewish Bride, circa 1665, is the traditional name for a double portrait depicting a couple whose exact identity remains a matter of debate. Some believe that it could be Isaac and Rebekah, biblical figures, or a couple contemporary to Rembrandt who wanted to be represented with a symbolic aura. What stands out is the tenderness, complicity, and silent affection that can be perceived between the two characters. The man places his hand on the woman's chest in a protective gesture, while she responds with a shy gesture, somewhere between modesty and affection. The brushstrokes are loose and pasty, especially on the clothing, creating a luxurious texture and tonal richness that reflects the artist's technical maturity. The soft lighting caresses the faces and intertwined hands, underlining the emotional meaning of the scene. The Jewish Bride has been interpreted as a poem of conjugal love, a tribute to intimacy and human harmony. In contrast to the biblical or historical scenes of his youth, in this late period, Rembrandt prefers the simplicity of a personal emotional bond, showing that the greatness of art also resides in the stillness of a shared moment between two beings who love each other. Number 4. Self-portrait with two circles. 1665 to 1669. In Self-Portrait with Two Circles, 1665 to 1669, Rembrandt shows himself in one of his last self-portraits, already old, with his face furrowed by the wrinkles of experience and his gaze firm, serene and reflective. Behind him appear two semicircles or imperfect arches painted on the wall, whose meaning has been the subject of multiple interpretations. For some, they represent the perfection of the art that the painter tries to emulate. For others, they are an enigma, a technical or symbolic wink. The brushstrokes are dense and gestural, with thick impastos that almost sculpt the pictorial material. The light illuminates the face and the hands with which he holds the brushes and palette, emphasizing the physical presence of the artist in his studio. His clothing is simple, without ostentation, reflecting the austerity of his last years, marked by economic difficulties and the loss of loved ones. This self-portrait is a spiritual testament, a statement about the identity of the artist and his craft. A man who, after decades of creation, presents himself before the canvas with all his honesty, without idealization, assuming old age and mortality. The two circles could be the symbol of his genius and his ambition, or the unfathomable mystery of the art that has consumed his life. Whatever the interpretation, this work is a milestone in the history of psychological portraiture, an intimate dialogue between the painter, the painting, and the observer. Number 3. The Return of the Prodigal Son, 1669. The Return of the Prodigal Son, 1669, is possibly Rembrandt's last great work, painted shortly before his death. Inspired by the Gospel parable, the scene shows the culminating moment. The son who, after squandering his inheritance and falling into poverty, repentantly returns to his father's home. The father, with a serene face and protective hands, receives him with mercy and understanding. To one side, the older brother observes with a mixture of skepticism, jealousy, and bewilderment. The light focuses on the act of embracing, creating a warm, golden spotlight that illuminates the hands resting on the young man's back and his head bowed in a gesture of humiliation. The brushstroke is pasty, free, eliminating superfluous details to concentrate on the emotional essence of the moment. The atmosphere is silent, contained, almost sacred. This work is a philosophical and spiritual statement, a masterful study of human compassion, forgiveness, and redemption. There is no grandiloquence or spectacle. Greatness lies in empathy with the suffering and reconciliation between father and son. With The Return of the Prodigal Son, Rembrandt leaves behind a universal message of tenderness and humanity, a hymn to the dignity of the human being that transcends time and cultural boundaries. Number 2. The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicolais Tulp, 1632. The Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Nicolais Tulp, 1632, was the work that catapulted Rembrandt to fame in Amsterdam. The painting depicts a public anatomy class, in which Dr. Tulp demonstrates the muscles of a cadaver's arm to a group of surgeons. Rembrandt organizes the composition around the illuminated cadaver, creating a strong contrast with the dark background. The faces of the doctors reflect interest, scientific curiosity, and the solemnity of the moment. The meticulous anatomical representation of the deceased's arm and hand, the mastery of chiaroscuro, and the careful arrangement of the figures give the scene an aura of professionalism and prestige. At the same time, the painting transcends the documentary function. The individual expressions of the surgeons and the irrefutable presence of death provoke a reflection on human fragility, the role of science, and the search for knowledge as an antidote to ignorance and fear. This work marked a turning point in the young Rembrandt's career, consolidating his reputation and opening the doors to prestigious commissions. The anatomy lesson of Dr. Nicolai's Tulp remains an emblematic image of the exchange between art, science, and humanity, a testament to how the artist knew how to combine realism and deep meaning in a single canvas. Number 1. The Night Watch, 1642. The Night Watch, 1642, whose original title is The Company of Captain Frans Banning Kock, is Rembrandt's most celebrated work and one of the iconic paintings of Western art. This monumental group composition, commissioned by the Civic Militia of Amsterdam, presents a company of city guards taking to the streets under the direction of Captain Banning Kock and his lieutenant Willem van Ruytenburch. What makes The Night Watch extraordinary is the dynamization of the collective portrait. Rather than showing the arquebusiers in a static row, Rembrandt arranges them in action, creating an almost theatrical scene full of movement, crossed gestures, and intersecting glances. A golden light falls diagonally, highlighting some figures and leaving others in semi-darkness, generating a dramatic effect. The light contrast, the use of color, and the complex composition form a visual framework that leads the eye across the canvas. In addition, the presence of a mysterious girl with a chicken hanging from her belt and certain symbolic details add layers of interpretation. The work reflects the civic pride, prosperity, and social cohesion of Golden Age Amsterdam, but at the same time breaks with rigid formalism, giving way to a dynamic and psychologically rich narrative. The Night Watch, exhibited at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, is a witness to Rembrandt's genius at the maturity of his career. It is his most popular work and symbolizes his ability to transform a bourgeois commission into a poetic, profound, and timeless vision. Through this canvas, Rembrandt not only immortalized a company of armed citizens, but also marked a milestone in the history of art, inspiring future generations with his compositional, luminous, and emotional mastery. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Give it a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with your friends and family.